the symbols of Christmas, have been under attack across Europe since markets and nativities sprung up last week. In Amiens, France, the plexiglass protecting the nativity was smashed during the night. Joseph, Mary and Jesus were thrown on the floor, and Jesus' head was severed. Despite outrage among locals who called it an anti-Christian attack, the local left-wing MP had nothing to say. Marine Le Pen's party, the National Rally, was fierce in its criticism, and its candidate for the local elections, Damien Toumi, joins me now.
Thank you for having me. Last week, a week ago in fact, the nativity scene was vandalised. The chalet housing the nativity scene, as you explained, had its plexiglass smashed, the figurines trampled, and the baby Jesus decapitated. This nativity scene had been a fixture at the Christmas market for over 30 years, created by volunteers from the neighbourhood committee, and had been there for a very long time. This happened amidst the general indifference of the national media, who remained completely silent, even though it was yet another anti-Christian act.
And what do you know about the person who did this? Do you know?
Apparently it was a fringe element who committed this. We have no information today, a week later, on whether or not he has been arrested, which also raises questions about the effectiveness of security measures in the city of Amiens. But even if it's a lone individual or a group of people, it's still the Christmas nativity scene that was targeted, not Santa's grotto with fake presents. Nor was it the reindeer's grotto. It was the nativity scene itself that was chosen as the site that was attacked, and therefore it's not insignificant. In other words, if this lone individual had attacked or targeted a mosque, for example, or a synagogue, it would rightly have been called anti-religious, Islamophobic, or an anti-Semitic act. But when it's a nativity scene, it's dismissed out of hand and labelled a mere news item. No, we must call things by their name. We must use the appropriate words, and this is an anti-Christian act that was committed just as the Christmas market was being inaugurated.
How did the left react?
The left hasn't reacted. That is to say, today the local MP, the far-left MP, has had absolutely no reaction to this. On the other hand, of course, they react to the stupidity of other anti-religious Islamophobic acts that have occurred elsewhere in France. But every time it's a nativity scene, a church or a cathedral that's targeted, the left never reacts. And that's also a problem. There's always a double standard. Today, churches, our cathedrals, our nativity scenes, our cemeteries, beyond simply being Christian, are part of our heritage, part of our identity, part of our culture, and it's essential to defend them.
And do you feel as though Christian culture is under threat in France?
Yes, I think so. We can see that there's a woke tendency that seeks to erase the very name of Christmas. For example, some markets today are called diverse markets, so why not simply call them Christmas markets? We must also acknowledge that there's a political faction, at least one led by a certain segment of the left, that seeks to erase our traditions, erase our identity, our French, Amiens and Picardy identity. It is therefore crucial that we mobilise to reclaim our pride in being French, pride in our traditions, and pride in our culture.
And do you think that this is in any way linked to a rise in Islamism in France?
I don't know if there's a connection, but what's clear is that today, Islamist movements, which are present throughout the country and aren't being sufficiently combated, are also intermingling with the far left, which, under at least anti-Zionist and if not anti-Semitic labels, is once again seeking, for purely electoral purposes, to attack our traditions and erase what constitutes French identity.
And just finally, what does your party, the National Rally, plan to do to counter these attacks against Christianity?
What's essential is, above all, to have zero tolerance for those who seek to violently attack our culture, as was the case with the Christmas nativity scene that was vandalised. Zero tolerance is necessary, but it's not enough. 7 days later, the nativity scene has just been replaced. But has the perpetrator been apprehended? There aren't enough CCTV cameras, so we need to increase the number of cameras in the town. We also need to increase the number of municipal police officers, because there aren't enough of them. And also, let's be clear, we need to stop municipal subsidies for criminals who act this way, because it's not right that municipal solidarity should be used to help those who make life miserable for our residents. and who are simply attacking our identity, our culture, what makes us Amiens residents, French citizens, and Picard.
Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks to you.
Yesterday, I reported a pro-Palestine mob had gate-crashed the Christmas light switch-on in Brussels, hours before the nativity there was trashed, and chanted Hamas slogans in the street. The mayor of Brussels confirmed the head of the figurine of Jesus was stolen after being decapitated by an unknown culprit who took off with the head but left the body in place Friday night. The mayor's spokesman said they would replace the baby Jesus' head. The opening of the Christmas markets and switch on of the lights at the main square was gate-crashed by a mob of pro-Palestine protesters. In this video, they can be seen chanting pro-Hamas slogans and letting off smoke bombs as families tried to enjoy the Christmas festivities. The Brussels nativity scene has been target for similar acts of vandalism over the years. In 2017, the entire baby Jesus doll was stolen, never to be recovered. In 2014, protesters removed the Christ child's head, and in 2015, 3 youths vandalised the scene overnight. This year's nativity is believed to have cost Brussels €60,000 and will remain on display until the 4th of January, and was already subject to controversy. The council had removed the use of the term Christmas from the display, opting instead to call the scene Winter Wonders in order to be more inclusive. This was unable to deter the pro-Palestine mob who brandished the Palestinian flag as it barged onto the square and let off the smoke bombs. Fears have been raised over the security of celebrations across Europe in the run-up to Christmas. Markets across Germany, France and the UK have seen barriers erected around the perimeter and armed police are set to guard them. Last year saw a terror attack in the German town of Magdeburg, which killed 6, including a 9-year-old boy, and injuring 323. German councils say security costs have risen 44% in just 3 years. What's been described as a huge security operation is underway in Britain, as Christmas markets come under a terror alert. Counter-terror police have urged the public to turn detective and report terror suspects in the lead-up to Christmas. Tip-offs went up by 50% last year, but officers say they need the help to spot potential terrorists who might plan to attack Christmas crowds. Security services have identified Christmas markets, shopping centres, concerts and pantomimes as potential sites for an attack. Last year, John Savelle from the Metropolitan Police gave this advice.
The public are our eyes and ears. Without public support, the vigilance actually makes our job an awful lot more difficult. So that's why we encourage people to just be aware, be vigilant. If they see a person or something that they think they're not quite sure about, then contact the police.
Nick Dunning, GB News.